Hey, do you want to hear a simple and amazing equation for you to have control over your life, over your finances, over your relationships, your health, your behaviors, your addictions? It's a very simple equation and it goes like this. Authority equals responsibility equals accountability equals autonomy. Since authority and responsibility can never be severed apart, they're always conjoined, anything which you have authority over, you have responsibility over. Anything you take responsibility over, you gain autonomy over. Autonomy means control. So I'm going to unpackage that in this video. Would you like control? Everybody would like control, except people who desperately want control and can never let go of not having any control. Or rather, the more appropriate way to say it is they don't like not having control. But the misnomer about control, misnomer means it means something other than what you believe it means, is that control, if you can't let go of control, if you're not comfortable not having any control, you don't have control. And so control is this thing which is an amazing thing. Anything that you take control over, let's change control into this fantastic equation so you can have a better grasp of your life, let's say, a better relationship with your life, a better relationship with the people around you, a better relationship with yourself, and a better relationship with control itself. And that equation went like that. Authority equals responsibility equals accountability equals autonomy. Let's begin with this premise, because this premise is something that's causing you a lot of despair, a lot of suffering. And that equation is something that most people don't realize and don't practice in their life, and that is authority equals responsibility. Now, this is something that once you recognize it, you'll never go back and say, I can take authority without responsibility, and I can take responsibility on anything which I don't have authority. I guarantee you this is something you're doing right now. But once you watch this video, once you recognize what authority equals responsibility is, you won't go back to the old ways again. So it goes like this: authority equals responsibility. In that, authority and responsibility can never be severed apart. They are strictly conjoined. Anything you have authority, you must take responsibility, because anything which you have authority is your responsibility. Anything you have you have mostly complete control of the thing that goes on in your mind. Presumably, going back, you can never control all the thoughts that goes on in your head, because you have for every millisecond, about 100 thoughts that goes on in your brain at any one time. The bag cannot hold itself. You can't control what thoughts enter your brain, you can control which one you choose to follow down its path. And so, most people don't really have control over their thoughts. And no one can control all the thoughts that enter into their brain, but they can certainly control which thoughts they follow. But the things that goes on in your brain, only one person has authority. And remember that your brain controls your behavior. Your brain, which not only it's not constricted in this one area between the skull, it actually goes on all the way down the spinal cord. The spinal cord is a part of your brain. And your body and your cells, which are controlled by your brain, are a part of your brain. You are essentially, without your brain, you don't exist. In other words, nothing exists outside of your brain. Without your brain, there is no perception. There is no reality without your brain. So, what has authority over you, over your behavior, over the things that you do, over your addictions, over your finances, over your health, the things that you do, that you can do to have control over your life, is the authority remains with you. And I'll go deeper into that, and I'll go a little bit further into that. But you have authority over yourself, and you only have authority over yourself. Things extraneous to you, things that are external to you, your environment, other people, you don't have authority over. While you must take responsibility for yourself, for your actions, for your behaviors. In other words, if I used some dishes and I left the dishes unwashed and someone else washes the dishes for me, those dishes are my responsibility, not anyone else's, unless it's agreed upon that it's someone else's responsibility to take responsibility over other people's actions. It's pre-agreed upon. But things that I do, things that occur because of me, are my responsibility. Things that occur in my life are my responsibility. And when I take more and more responsibility, I gain more and more authority. I gain more and more autonomy. When I account for the things, remember that responsibility equals authority, equals accountability, equals autonomy. When you account for the things that you are responsible for, when you account for the things which you have authority over, and therefore you take responsibility over them, you gain autonomy. You have control over your circumstances. And the better responsibility you take, the more responsibility you take, the more control you assume. So the mistake that people make is that they take responsibility over other people's authority. Let me ask you a question. What would happen if you tried to make me angry? Can you make me angry? Can you make me sad? And most people would say, yeah, you can easily make me angry, or yeah, you could easily make me sad. But here's the truth, and it goes like this. Authority equals responsibility. Since only I have authority over myself, no one can make me feel angry. Only I can contribute to my anger. Or rather, only I can make myself angry, but other people can contribute to it if they would like. Ultimately, only I have a say on whether I'm angry or whether I'm sad or whether I'm happy. It's all ultimately in my control. It's all strictly inside of my brain. Things that make people angry easily, I laugh because how can that thing make that person so angry? Because the thing that makes you angry resides strictly under your control. It's in your brain. It's in your perception. It's in how you see the world. And so you can try your damnedest to get me angry, and I'll just laugh. And I'll see the irony, and maybe I'll even point out to you that the irony being, this person is struggling and suffering to make me feel a particular way. And it's funny. Someone once said, no one can make you feel miserable without your consent. Only you can make you feel any way, and no one else. Now let me put that into its other conclusion, which most people never recognize, is that can you make me love you? Can you make me love you? And of course the answer obviously is no. Only I can decide whether I can love you, or I would love you if I would choose to love you, or if I do love you. A lot of people say, that person doesn't love me, I'm going to do my damnedest to make them love me. I want to make them feel any particular way around me. I'm going to make my sweetie happy. I'm going to make my sweetie love me. Here's the thing. Their authority is not your responsibility. Only they can make themselves happy. The best you can do is contribute to their happiness. Influence them in the best way that you can. And also, on the other side, only they can make themselves miserable. It's their responsibility because it's their authority. Only they can make themselves feel sad. Only they can make themselves feel depressed. The best you can do is contribute to their happiness, but you can never make them happy. You can never make anyone love you, and you can never make anyone be angry at you. It's their responsibility. So the final bit of that, before I end this video, is anything you take accountability over, you gain autonomy over. When you account for, when you take, oh, that's what the sound is. Always lapping at her water. Anything which you take, when you account for the things that you have control over, when you account for your circumstances, you gain autonomy. Autonomy being control. And that's the video for today. If you want to take control over your life, what did I talk about? I talked about autonomy equals, rather, responsibility equals authority, equals accountability, equals autonomy. Anything which you take responsibility over, you gain more authority over, and you gain more control over. And when you account for more things that you have authority over, you gain more and more control over your life. You can never take responsibility for someone else's authority. You can never take responsibility for other people's doings. You can never make anybody else feel any way around you, about you. The best you can do is be so influential as to make them feel, or to contribute to their feeling a certain way about you. If you want the other person to love you, you never have control over what they feel about you. You can never make your sweetie happy no matter how much you try. The best you can do is influence them in the best way that you can, support them in the best way that you can, so that they can feel happy for themselves and by themselves. Other people, and I'll end it with this, never make the mistake of making people feel any way. Never make the mistake of trying to make other people happy, or to make other people love you or hate you or feel any way about you. The best you can do is influence them. What are your influential skills? What are you doing to be able to contribute to their happiness? What are you doing so that they will decide for themselves whether they love you, whether they want you, whether they value you in their life? And if you want more advanced things about relationships, go to www.greatrelationshipsyou.com. If you like this video, it would help me out if you click the like button, the thumbs up button, or the heart button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. I do this video several times a week, and they're very enlightening indeed. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.